I'm glad that is out of the way. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, it's hard for me to congratulate the Eagles only because their fans low-key get on my nerves. I'm going to keep it real with you, but hey, they did what they did. They went out there and they straight manhandled the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he did not look good. And a lot of it wasn't his fault, but at the end of the day, man, there's no excuses. There's no excuses. You know, you went out there and you got embarrassed on national television, the Super Bowl. The whole world was tapped in. I look at this, so I call this video Noted because as a Vikings fan, I sit back and I looked at the Eagles and I'm like, you know, what have they done to be able to be competitive year in and year out for the most part, being able to reach the Super Bowl? I mean, this is their second time reaching the Super Bowl in the last 5-6 years. So that's success, man. That's good. You know, that means they're doing something right because they've went to the Super Bowl, then redid their team a little bit, and now they went back and they won it now, right? And one thing I noticed is, first of all, this is the first thing I noted as a Vikings fan watching it, is you have to draft right, okay? The Eagles are a prime example of them getting their draft picks right. I mean, Cooper DeJean with the pick 6. You got Carter out there balling. You got Mitchell out there doing his thing. I mean, they just have a ton of players that they've drafted over the past couple years that are like really impact players. And some of the players were balling last night that just got drafted in 2024. They're rookies. They're rookies doing their thing, man. They know how to pick them. And I look at the Vikings and I compare that and I'm like, yo, we're far behind. We're a little bit behind, man. Now we have a new opportunity in front of us in April to be able to fix that, hopefully. But we're behind when you're talking about championship caliber teams, when you're looking at how they draft, particularly the Eagles, man. They've been drafting good. We got to give them their props on that. All right. Another thing that I noted was quarterback consistency. And this doesn't just boil down to, did your quarterback play good for the last 5 years consistently? It's about having faith in your quarterback. Now, when you're talking about a Kirk Cousins who's been a veteran, you know, he is who he is. You saw what he can bring to the table before you brought him to your team, but yet you still decided to bring him to your team and you got the same results that he produced on another team. That's different. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the opportunity in front of us with JJ McCarthy. Is if you see early and often that JJ McCarthy could be a quarterback that actually can do something for your team, you can build kind of a roster around him. We need to stick with that plan and keep riding it out. The same way how the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts. I mean, I understand Jalen Hurts had an MVP type of season a couple years ago. I mean, this year, I think he was maybe in the conversation for a little bit, at least for a little portion of the season. But just having the faith and trusting the process of drafting your quarterback. When they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round and they just said, hey, we gonna ride with him, man. We gonna build what we need to build around him, build the offense around him. I'm starting to notice that a lot of teams that make it far and get an opportunity to play in the big game, it's looking like they're getting their quarterback and then they're building around that quarterback's play style and also having to build, you know, the trenches. And that's what we're going to get into too. And that's what I noted. I mean, 6 sacks allowed by the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, if this game didn't tell you that the trenches are important, both sides, right? Offensive line, because if you go in there with a weak offensive line against a team that has been building the trenches for the past couple years, that's the result you get. And we saw this when Patrick Mahomes played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady and them. I mean, he got dominated. By the time he had the ball, the Eagles were in the backfield last night. This wasn't a case of Patrick Mahomes holding the ball too long. This was a case of they just got dominated in the trenches, man. The Eagles defensive line straight manhandled the Chiefs offensive line. And that's just what it is. That's just what it is, man. 22-40. 22-40, man. The score doesn't even tell the story. I mean, the score, it's still not close when you're talking about a Super Bowl NFL type game, but it's closer than it should be. I mean, this literally should have been a blowout, 40-3, 40-7, technically. You know, that's what it really should have been. But the trenches, man, the Minnesota Vikings need to focus on that. And it's going to start with drafting right. It almost makes me sit back and think like, do I really like a cornerback in the draft? Do I really like one of the shifty wide receivers in the later rounds of the draft? Do I really want a running back in this draft? I mean, after watching the Super Bowl and watching what the Eagles did, it showed that not only their defensive line, but their offensive line. Okay, Jalen Hurts had a ton of time. And when I look at Jalen Hurts and how he can run, then he's not the most shifty athletic quarterback. But when I compare that to a J.J. McCarthy, who has some wheels, who is faster than a Jalen Hurts, when you're talking about 40 time and stuff, so he can move around, it's just, you look at it and you say, man, we got Justin Jefferson just like they have A.J. Brown. We have Jordan Addison just like they have Smitty. You know what I mean? Like, we have the same type of pieces. The only thing that separates us right now is, first, we have a quarterback that we got to make sure can prove that he is him, right? We ain't just going to put him on this pedestal. At the end of the day, y'all know I'm a J.J. McCarthy stan, goddamn, you know? But we still have to see. I still need the evidence. And then we need to make sure that we get in the trenches. But there's one more thing, and that is the running back. Do I believe in Aaron Jones? I like Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones gave us a good enough season where we can appreciate what he brought to the table. But is he the answer? I do believe that the Minnesota Vikings, you're not going to get a Saquon Barkley. That's understandable, because those guys just aren't walking around everywhere where you can just scoop them up. And you're going to have to pay a premium now, especially after what he did this year. Man, to get a good running back now, Saquon Barkley, all running backs around the league should be giving Saquon Barkley at least $10,000, bro, because he raised their salaries after the season he had this year. Because it shows you how valuable it really is to have a running back that can change the game for you, that can have those big explosive plays when you need it the most. And I think the Vikings have been missing that ever since we lost Dalvin Cook. Man, look, man, there's a lot of things to be noted watching this Super Bowl. And honestly, what do the Vikings have to do? Well, I think there's a list there, man. We'll go through it one more time before we get out of here. Draft right. You got to get the draft right. Free agency, we got to make sure we do that. But I have faith in our team in doing that. I have faith in Kwesi. But that draft got to be right. Trenches, man. Trenches, offensive line and defensive line have to be addressed. They have to be addressed. You have to go all in. You got to get you a running back, and then have faith in your draft pick, J.J. McCarthy. Have faith. Let things go. Let it go. Start building on top. Just keep adding block on top of block. Have faith in your quarterback that you chose, man. Build the team around J.J. McCarthy, and let's start this dynasty, man. Y'all let me know how you feel in the comments, man. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Holla at your boy.
Yeah, smooth summer, who running? I hear them talking, but they ain't gonna do nothing. Celebration, I might have a toast with you. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great, I'm terrific. We ain't taking no losses, we winning. Undefeated, check the percentage.